So I don't know what I'm going to do with myself on the weekends. IndyCar's been done since September. NASCAR season's over. Got two more races in Formula One, maybe only one, depending on some circumstances in the world. Uh, I don't know what I'm going to do with my weekends, but we got a lot to talk about with Brazil and with the championship weekend in Phoenix, starting with the trucks on Friday night. A lot of stuff happened
Terrible.
this weekend. Yeah, it was terrible, but this is
It
FR
was Friday
Racing's.
night and a full weekend.
Yes, it was. This is FR Racing's Garage Talk. I'm DJ Fluck,
I'm Eric Richardson.
and I'm going to hit you with some trivia right now. So
Oh
this,
man, not
yeah,
a way to start the show.
no, no, we're going to hit you right away. You probably already saw this one because I saw it today. So the I got to make sure I get the years right. Okay. So now that Kevin Harvick is retired, can you name the 5 longest tenured drivers in the NASCAR Cup Series based on when they made their debut?
Mm,
Bonus point if you get the year right.
well, Kyle Busch.
That's number one.
I'm not even gonna guess the years. Well, I don't know. He's probably what, like 2003, 2005 range.
2005. There you go. You're one for one.
Um, Joey Logano has been around forever now.
He's number 4.
Okay, so when did he debut? It was like 2009.
That's correct. Man, you're on fire.
Jeez. Denny Hamlin.
That's number 2.
So was he 2005? No, he was 2007.
Ooh, so
Eight.
close. Nope. Other way.
Oh,
6.
six.
2006.
I could remember.
So you got
He's young, but he's been around so long.
yes, yeah. I mean, Logano debuted when he was like 18.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not that old, but he's already, he's losing his hair. He feels like he's a lot older than he really is.
Yeah.
So
It's
you got
crazy.
Kyle Busch, you got Denny Hamlin, you got Joey Logano, you got 2 more. So you
Oh,
got one,
geez.
2, 4.
1, 2, and 4. I'm trying to run through the field
Here's your
here.
hint. This particular driver was a willy or won't he throughout the season.
Oh, here, won't we?
Retire.
Oh, Martin Truex.
That's number 4. Well, or number 3, excuse me.
That's 3. So
He
5.
actually, it might be tied for 2. I don't have the months when they made the debut, so I just kind of gave that away. Him and
Kyle Larson has been around for a very long time, but he's
Hamlin
not been.
Hamlin and Truex both made their debuts in 2006. So there's one run through 4. Who are you missing?
Oh man, Brad Keselowski.
Correct. And he made his debut in 2010.
Hell of a bit of help, but got them all.
And the thing is, like, Kyle Busch is slightly younger than you, but slightly older than me. He's like right in between our birthdays. He is now the old man of the NASCAR Cup Series is right in between our births, and we're only almost exactly a month apart in age. So
No.
we're now the old people. But
Hey, just remember, we are the ones born in the late 1900s now.
when you put it that way, ugh. So, man, let's talk about Phoenix. Friday night truck series. What in the world was that?
We had a full Garage Talk episode after the truck race.
Uh, I mean, it was so bad. Just the
What was it?
level.
13 cautions.
I think they said they ran 29 laps in overtime with all the cautions that they. And it's just like, I get it. Like, you don't want to end the championship race under a caution. So they have unlimited restarts as long as they don't hit the white flag.
Was it the fifth or sixth caution? They're finally, we're done.
Yeah. Well, it was hilarious. There was, they're coming around and one of the cars, one of the cars wrecked going into turn 4. Actually, right before that, a couple cautions before that, they had the white flag in hand, and then there was a wreck, and they pulled the white flag down and threw the yellow. It was
they were literal feet from the finish line.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, just kidding. And then when they finally let the race finish, there was a wreck in turn 4, and you could just tell that the race control is like, wreck? What wreck? White flag, too late.
I couldn't believe they let him race back through that, knowing that they had to go to it. It's not like that wreck happened behind after the white flag. It was ahead coming to the finish.
Yeah, that was a little crazy, but a lot of the Cup Series drivers were not thrilled with how that race went.
Carson Hocevar get into is what, Corey Heim.
Yeah.
You saw, I don't know. The Hocevar has a reputation. He's gotten into a lot of trucks this whole season. Seeing his reaction, he's like, I can't believe I messed up.
And the thing is, that was not his most malicious getting into somebody. It's just it wasn't even close. It's just the problem is he has such a reputation of doing that. Everyone's just like, oh. And then Corey Heim's like, well, my championship is finished, so I'm not waiting until next year. I'm going to take him out right now, and he probably won't even get a chance next year. It's Hocevar is going to the Cup Series, and we sent him into the wall. And then Corey Heim was fined. He lost 25 points. I think he got fined like 12 grand or something like that for his conduct.
Corey Heim owes Grant Enfinger like dinner for life.
It's just, you have to feel
that
bad.
Was what, 2 laps to go, that first caution comes out, Enfinger's running away with it.
Ben Rhodes having problems shifting into 4th. Although Ben Rhodes is a champion, might be my favorite champion ever, because they just start handing him beers and he just starts chugging them, and then he gets to they showed his press conference from his title a couple of years ago, and he's hammered when he goes in there.
It's so awesome.
And then this time around, the same thing. He goes into the press conference drunk again, and he's like, "Dinosaurs aren't real." It's like, what?
Man, that was just a wild. And the fact that Enfinger almost came back.
Yeah. Oh, he almost
did a little bit of
too.
damage. When crew chief was like, you know what, we have nothing to lose. Let's get tires.
Almost caught
a
few
him. More cautions later, and
one more lap or one more caution, he would have got him.
Yeah.
Man, that was
I feel for him.
Yeah,
he had that.
That was such a bummer that you lose a championship because of
somebody idiots. Intentionally wrecking somebody out. I get it. That's racing, but no, that's just not good. Like, it's not a good look.
Your poor decision directly impacted a championship for somebody. I don't like it. That was such a train wreck disaster of a race. I mean, I was entertained by it, but it was such a disaster. It's just every time the caution would come out in overtime.
Felt like I was watching IndyCar at Laguna again.
I'm just like shaking my head. I'm like, not again. I'm like, is this thing ever going to end? And I'm like, oh, there's only 2 laps left.
Yeah, we're texting during the race, and you're spot on. They definitely do not get enough seat time in the trucks, let alone on the track. I mean, you can jump on iRacing and simulators, but that only mimics so much.
It just, the truck series has evolved, or I guess de-evolved from, you look at the 90s, it's become like, I'd love to see what the average age of a truck series driver was in the 90s when they first started it versus today. It's like, you have to assume the average age of a truck series driver, it would be like, if you filter out 47-year-old Matt Crafton, the average age of a truck driver in that series has got to be like 20.
Yeah, like back in
Hocevar is like 21. Hocevar is like 21. Corey Heim's like 18 or 19. Nick Sanchez is like just turned 18 this year or something like that.
Well, when you have guys like Ron Hornaday and Jack Sprague winning, they were in their 30s and
by that point,
probably even pushing 40s.
Hallie Deegan's like 22, 23 at most. I mean, it's a bunch of kids. It's a bunch of inexperienced kids, and they get limited seat time. It's like, okay, here's a 30-minute practice, and then, oh, by the way, we're going to qualify in an hour. And then, oh, by the way, we're going to race in like 2 hours. So it's like they've compressed like the truck series into like one day over like but from first practice to qualification to the checkered flag is like 6 hours.
Well, the practice times across all the series have been drastically reduced. Even the Cup Series,
it used to be multiple days of practice.
You used to have at least 2 days of practice, then qualifying on Saturday. They'd get to the track on Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah. Now it's like, all right,
2 to 3 practice sessions. I think super speedways, you would have an extra one just because it was super speedway.
Yeah. Then on top of that, you get a rain out, and it's like, oh, all right, no practice. You got 18, 19-year-olds, or this might be their first time to the track. They've had no practice. They've had no qualification. We're jumping right in and taking that green flag. And it's like, you wonder why they have so many problems with race, with the racing in the truck series. Like, I love the truck series. I think it could be great. I think they need to make a few changes so we don't have a repeat of what we had last weekend.
Well, and so many of the races, they're short races and they're hitting double-digit cautions. You don't learn to race either when you're going 50 miles an hour.
Nope, not at all.
Learn how to just wreck each other.
Yeah, that was hard to watch. I mean, I was entertaining, but it was hard to watch. And Tyler Reddick was not mincing words on social media Friday night, and it's pretty sure that was directed towards Carson Hocevar, who he'll be sharing the track with next year.
That'll be fun to see how they race him. He did a couple, 1 or 2 Cup starts this year.
He did, yeah. I think he did. Actually, I think he ran Phoenix this year.
Yeah.
Or this weekend, rather, last weekend.
One of them did double duty. No, it was Cole Custer, wasn't it? He jumped in and qualified.
Cole Custer.
Car.
Yeah, because Brad's wife went into labor, so he had to fly back home for the birth of his child.
Saturday.
Yeah, and then he flew back in Sunday morning, like really early Sunday morning, and got right into his suit and got in the car.
So congrats to the Kozlowski family.
Yes, congratulations, but he was a non-factor Sunday.
No.
Oh, man. Yeah, well. Whatever. I mean, that's
Xfinity wasn't too bad of a race. Pretty much kept leaders up front.
I know. I was there. You
were there.
I was there. It was right away. You had John Hunter, Nemechek, and Justin Allgaier kind of bump early. Actually, it was like the first lap, I think. First 2 or 3 laps. Allgaier spun, but managed to not damage his car, and actually was a factor towards the end. Almost pulled it off.
Mm-hmm. That's a good race.
It was a good race, and it was a great finish. And they're calling him Stone Cole Custer, taking the 2 beers and but that was so went on Saturday. We made it into stage 3 before my kids lost interest this time, so we're making progress.
Yeah, getting there. Got to start somewhere.
That's, you ask 5-year-olds to sit through a race where they're, especially when you get some cautions and it slows things down. You're asking a 5-year-old to sit for 2.5 hours.
At least you weren't trying to sit through a truck race.
Oh, that just would have been just awful. Yeah, so we go to the racetrack on Saturday afternoon, and we get there. We go over to the kids zone right away, and we meet Myatt Snyder, who actually qualified 4th in that event. I think he got caught up in an incident, if I remember right.
He had something go wrong with he was in the 19, right?
Yeah,
going into a turn, his brakes locked up, and
that's what it was.
Left rear was wheel hopping.
Yeah, super nice guy. I mean, I've met almost the entire regular Xfinity and many of the part-time drivers just this year alone. Just couldn't be nicer. They're so great to the kids. Yeah, they show like it's like, I'm sure, some of them like signing autographs. Some of them, I'm sure, that's probably not their favorite part of the job.
Do what they're told, but
yeah, but it's like you can tell, like, they whether they actually like it or not, like they're there and they show interest with the kids. They ask the kids their name. They try to, a little bit of a conversation with them, and super, super nice guy. And his dad, I didn't know this until this weekend, is Marty Snyder. Do you know that?
I wonder, just based on the spelling when I saw him, like
Marty Snyder is his dad. Yes, NBC
and then,
pit reporter
he's
Marty
confirmed
Snyder.
that. It's like, hey, that's pretty cool.
So met him, super cool guy, signed some hero cards, added it to their book. They've got the little laminated sheets that we slide the hero cards into. So they
is it their book or is it your book that they hold?
No, it's their book. I
That's
didn't.
cool.
Yeah, it's got a lot of them have the kids' names on the autographs. I just like, you know what? I'm almost 40 years old. Asking most of these guys are like 19, 20, 21-year-old. I'm kind of like, it's kind of weird to ask an autograph, but
I don't have a problem with it. Just, I'm so big on sports memorabilia and stuff like that. I think it's cool just to be able to have.
There's certain people where I would totally be like, yeah, like if I stumbled across like a Dale Jr. or a Jeff Gordon or a Dale Jarrett or somebody, somebody that was, who I liked watching as a kid, oh, I'd be totally all over that. Please sign this. Like, yeah, I would be.
I'm trying to think, where do I have that at?
Starstruck right there. With a lot of
here.
You got hockey sticks back there. You still have that yellow Nike stick? I remember when you bought that. I just noticed your hockey sticks behind you. That yellow, that yellow Nike stick. I used to have that same one until I broke it. I remember when you bought that too.
Those are from high school.
Yeah, Dunham's in that sporting goods store in Kokomo that I have no idea how it stayed open as long as it did.
Anyway. So I have no idea. One Black Friday, Barnes & Noble is having a sale. So I did pick up.
Is it signed? No kidding.
A signed copy of Dale's book. And I think it was only like $20. I'm like,
wow.
Yes, I will do that.
I was about to say that's a steal. Like, you get any autograph from him and with diecast, you're paying over $100 easily.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I'm like, no, I wasn't a huge fan of Dale Jr. I like him a lot more now than when he was racing.
Yeah, it's kind of, I have the same feeling.
I saw that. I'm like, I have to. That's Earnhardt.
What's funny though, listening to like when they play some of these old clips of Dale Jr. and his radio banter with his crew chief and his spotter, it's hilarious. And there was one where like Danica Patrick was getting in a wreck. And his spotter's like, stay low, stay low. He's like, I'm trying to stay low. She's wrecking.
One of my favorites still to listen to is Kyle Busch's radio. Some of his rants.
Remember that show on HBO? It was like, I forget what it was called, but I never had HBO. The only time I'd ever see it was when I was traveling and like, the hotel I was at had HBO. And so I didn't get to watch the show very often. I was like NASCAR Weekly or something like that. And they play the uncensored clips of the radio chatter with some of the drivers. And oh man, both Kyle and Kurt Busch. Remember the one where Kyle flipped off the official and got black flagged for
then his crew chief is, stop it,
Kyle, you are costing us.
Oh, such great moments in NASCAR. Speaking of which,
it's funny too with when you watch those shows and you see these guys who are more like come off as more mild mannered, and you hear them get really worked up on the radio, and it's like, wow. It didn't happen that often, but when Jeff Gordon got worked up on the radio, holy crap, was he upset.
Oh yeah. Ryan Blaney, NASCAR champion.
Yes. and he took him a day, but basically, speaking of give the finger, basically gave the finger to Kyle Petty for comparing him to Casey Kane. All the hype and none of the actual, doesn't actually come through.
Not the only finger he gave associated to.
Yeah. I'm pretty confident he gave the finger to Ross Chastain while the camera was inside his car this week.
Yep. That's actually one thing I noticed across all 3 series. You hear the championship 4 contenders complaining about any car that wasn't in the championship hunt.
Yep.
It's like, dude, you're in a race. It's not just the 4 of you. Those other cars are trying to win. They're trying to win for their sponsors. They're trying to win for their team, the manufacturers.
Did you hear the conspiracy? Which this got spread. It was a misquote that turned into a conspiracy. So when Blaney and Chastain were going at it, and Blaney was getting upset at him and ramming into him, the rumor was that the NASCAR official went to Chastain's spotter and said, like, don't get involved in this, which is not what happened. The spotter went to both Blaney and Chastain's spotter and said, you two knock it off right now. Could you imagine that if they black flagged the championship for because he couldn't get around, the slower car?
I didn't really have a problem with how Chastain raced that.
I don't either. I think
running.
He's fine.
He wasn't.
Look, he was trying to win the race.
He wasn't diving down, blocking like Bowman on Suarez.
No, he was trying to win the race, and he did win the race.
Yeah, congrats to Ross.
And how about that? NBC largely ignoring him after the.
It's that toss up. Like, I get it, because really it's just all about the champion, and that's the first time that the Cup champion didn't win the race.
Right. And at least since they went to this format in 2014. Yeah. So, but the thing is, like, you go back to the Winston Cup years, the champion never won the final race.
No.
And, like, I remember it was like 2001, like Jeff Gordon just had to finish like 26th or something like that to clinch, and he finished like 18th or 19th or something. Like,
and that's what they did. They just ran, kept it clean, and like, hey, we need a spot here.
It's okay. It's the first time that he ever was like, I'm gonna just try to finish 19th here, and he did. But it's just like, in the Winston Cup days, unless they won, which didn't happen very often, they were ignored.
One is funny. You take Winston Cup scoring, and that guy
Billy Byron wins the championship. Yeah.
But I was getting a kick out of listening to the guys like, I'm a championship contender. Stop racing me hard. It's like, get over yourself, dude.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
If I'm going for a win, I'm going to take you out to win.
Yeah, it's still a race. It's still a race. You still have to. It's a race
just like any other.
Deal with it.
You shouldn't have been in the spot to be in that spot. So, too bad.
TV ratings though weren't good Sunday.
Not surprised. It was a bad time.
And some of the blame was on, it's always a problem when NASCAR is competing directly against prime NFL season. Mm-hmm. But then, Cowboys versus the Eagles, which always is a huge draw for Fox.
You had Formula One pretty much overlapping too.
Yeah, and that we haven't even got into that yet.
Another one.
Yeah. Actually, no. The Formula One race was the formation lap, the first turn, and then the last 2 laps.
Yes.
Everything else, like, whatever. I guess, and George Russell being told to park his car because it might like blow up on you if you don't park it.
I fast forwarded through that part.
Yeah, they said retire the car. Like, this car is not going to make it through the whole race. And I thought I saw, it's hard to tell what's a legit quote or not, but Lewis Hamilton allegedly may have said something about he's counting down the days until this car goes away. Not good times for Mercedes right now.
No. Oh, one other thing on NASCAR before we move on. Chris Bell's brake rotor exploding.
Yeah, that was wild.
They need to get that fixed. It's not a ton, but when you have half a dozen on certain types of tracks that explode, it's not good.
Nope, not at all.
And it's a shame that a mechanical failure of that nature is what took him out of that.
Yeah, that was tough. Ugh. I did actually, before we move on to Formula One, I did have to say I did get a close-up look at the new Dark Horse Mustang that'll be used in the Cup Series next year. Man, if it performs half as well as it looks, that's awesome. And I am kicking myself because I did not go into the Chevy booth where the Garage 56 car was on display.
But you did get a nifty hat, though.
I did. I, entered a contest to win a set of General Tire, and they're like, here, have this hat. I'm like, thank you. This is honestly like the nicest giveaway hat I think I've ever received. You got the, the snapback here, got the flag of the General Tire. I mean, this is a good cap. And, General Tire does a lot for the ARCA series, which is awesome. I do a lot for NASCAR in general. So shout out to General Tire there. And then, but yeah, oh man, you just walk away so much. And I want to say too, we were walking around the concourse area, and somebody from Joe Gibbs' team walked up to my kids and gave them each a 164 Christopher Bell car. The nice, like, the one in this packaging, like the I got my Wreckers or Checkers Chastain car here, but yeah, he just walked up. He's like, hey, do you have this car, kids? And they're like, nope. And he's like, here you go, and gave them each a Christopher Bell. So he's out there trying to spread the good word of Christopher Bell, but then my kids walk away with Kyle Larson hats, which wasn't expecting that, but all right. So they have picked their driver for the moment as 5-year-olds, but I guess gonna hook on with a winner. Like he knows how to win, not without some past controversy, which is a little awkward, but that was kind of.
At least he's grown from that, it seems like.
And yeah, that was really stupid. Like, I don't even want to talk about it. That was just so stupid. Then again, we've all done really stupid things.
If you dig deep enough, everybody's got that one thing. Like,
yeah, good thing there was no social media back then when we did some of our stupid things. But
I was actually telling somebody the other day about a story about a Roman candle.
Yeah, Roman candles. So
be careful. Aim them up.
Yep. Aim them up. Wearing paintball masks and
oh yeah, I was sharing stories about that too. I'm in the backyard.
Lighter fluid and shoes and
never did that before.
I remember I put lighter fluid on my shoe and set my shoe on fire, and I couldn't get the fire out, and I finally did. And
yeah, I did that too.
Yeah, and then we went to Taco Bell afterwards. My shoe smelled like melted rubber. I remember waiting in line at Taco Bell, and the person behind the counter just looking at me like, "What is that smell?" As I'm wearing this like torched, partially melted shoe.
Now, for anybody listening, even though we may
don't do that,
have only been in high school, we were trained professionals.
Self-trained, but trained.
That's the key part. We were trained.
Anyway, yes, trained by Johnny Knoxville, Bam Margera, Steve-O.
Yeah, it works.
You remember the whole disclaimer before Jackass would start about don't do this at home? Oh, we didn't listen to that. No, not at all.
Yeah, learn how to make propane balloons too. That's another story. We'll
moving on. Anyway, Formula One, Brazil, Interlagos. wild weekend in Brazil because you had a crazy storm roll in on Friday evening during qualification, destroyed part of the covering of the grandstand. I think everybody was out of there though by the time that happened, fortunately.
I think people were in it.
Oh, really? Oh, I just
at
saw
least part of the roof was coming off with people in it.
Oh, oops. That's no good.
And I saw a photographer almost got hit by falling debris from that roof.
Oh, ouch. Yeah, I didn't hear that part.
Luckily, everybody made it mostly uninjured from the sounds of it. If I missed something, I do apologize to them.
Yeah, then you have a sprint, which the drivers generally all hate.
I pretty much don't pay attention to those.
I watched briefly. Then Sunday with the race, the formation lap is underway. And then you see a Ferrari up against the wall.
At first he said hydraulics, but then he was trying to clarify that it was a different issue than what Sainz had experienced prior.
What ended up being the issue? I don't know if
I didn't actually see.
Said he lost the hydraulics and then he tried to get going again. He couldn't, and Charles Leclerc retired. He was a.
I can show them if you ask again from your iPhone.
I did not ask for that, Siri. Anyway, so there was a stat that came out that Charles Leclerc is the only driver to be, or the first driver in 12 years to, in a single season, record a DNF, a DNS, and a disqualification.
Yeah, pretty impressive. What is up with Ferrari, though?
I don't know.
They can't be this inept.
This has to be like on purpose. Somebody's got to be screwing things up on purpose and just getting a good laugh out of it behind the scenes. Like, it can't be not like.
And they've changed people over.
Yeah, you've got a new principal. They've run people out of there. It's different people, but the same stupid crap is happening.
Something does not add up.
It's like if their goal is to get, Leclerc and Sainz to like hate racing and retire or quit or go somewhere else, it might be working. And that's the only thing I can think of short of like deliberate sabotage for personal amusement.
Well, you've had cars doing that, pit strategies that just are mind-boggling.
We're getting a tire at a pit stop. Hey, are we going to do a pit stop with 3 tires? Oh, I forget who won this weekend. Oh, yeah.
And then was that 16 now? 17?
I don't know.
I've lost count.
So how many people have won a race this year? It's 3, right? It's
3.
Yeah, it's Max, Checo won 1, and Sainz won 1.
Yep.
And that's it. Like, if it wasn't for Sainz, you would have probably going to have a Red Bull clean sweep coming up to Las Vegas. It is here almost. We're a little over a week away from this. It's just, this is such a mess. But
before we get there, at least finish up Brazil.
Oh, yeah.
Lando running second again. He was catching Max at the end of the race.
He was.
He narrowed it down to 8 seconds from 9.
Well, do you know what Max said after?
I didn't even hear.
So Max said afterwards that he was watching Alonso and Checo fighting for that 3rd position. He said he was watching it on the monitors, and at one point he almost drove off the track.
That tells you how good you are and how bored you are at the same time.
He's watching the race on TV while driving in the race and winning the race.
But yeah, Alonso and Sainz, what a finish.
Gasly and Hamilton had a similar finish a couple of years ago, but never first. So it was, that was the.
At least there was something exciting watching a Formula One race for once this year.
Yeah,
Then massive crash on turn one.
Yeah, Magnussen and Alex Albon and
Albon doing stuff he shouldn't do. Not at that stage.
I remember after that accident, they cut to the Haas box and you see Gunther just shaking his head. Disappointment. That is a man I just like, of all the people in the paddock, that's the guy I feel like would be the worst to disappoint. Because he just has that like attitude where it's just like, okay, you disappoint Christian Horner, you disappoint Toto, you'll probably get ripped a new one, but it's just like, you disappoint Gunther Steiner, he's going to be like, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed.
And with a name like that, don't make him mad.
Which is so much worse than somebody just yelling at you. So much worse than Richard Childress calling you the dumbest driver you've ever driven for you.
And good guy and all, but I would have a much harder time being yelled at by Gunther than Toto. I'm just thinking Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, I agree. It's just
they got their own things to figure out, though.
And that look on his face is just like, oh boy.
Mercedes has stuff to figure out. Lewis and George, I'd want to be in a trailer or garage, I guess, for Formula One when
Toto,
we have a team meeting.
Yeah, I mean, Toto said like that car was garbage this weekend, and just like, I'm sorry they had to drive that piece of garbage. Was paraphrasing, but that was more or less what he said.
Yeah, Vegas this weekend.
Next week, we're a week away.
Oh yeah, I'm so lost on my days.
So the almost had a culinary strike, which would have been a disaster for the event. Sounds like that's being averted. They're now selling single day race tickets. I got an email for VIP club tickets for the event, and they were only $3,500 a piece for these VIP club tickets during the race with the course view, and you get to hang out with two special guests.
Ooh,
Shaq and David Beckham. I don't know, $3,500 to hang out in a Vegas club during a Formula One race with Shaq and David Beckham doesn't sound like that bad of a deal.
When you get that in a VIP experience, when the original was $500 for no view, standing room only, that's actually not a bad deal.
It's not a bad deal. It's like, hey, I'll $3,500 to hang out with Shaq.
No, with the way it's going, they really should almost just run it this weekend so that way it's done.
I mean, they, and they're concerned like a lot of the tickets aren't selling, so they're just outrageously priced. The early forecasting says that it's going to fall to 40 degrees during the race. It'll be the coldest race ever run in Formula One. So it's like, how are these cars going to hold up in 40-degree weather? 40 degrees Fahrenheit. It's like 4 degrees Celsius, basically. Can you imagine that? Like, remember earlier this year when they ran the race at Auto Club, RIP Auto Club Speedway, and it was like snow. I'm back.
You just went.
My question now is, my internet crapped out. The recording is in play. I don't know. Please tell me we didn't lose this episode.
I just thought of that. What if we just lost the entire show?
It's funny when you hear people like, yep, we lost the whole episode. I did that actually with when I was doing an audio podcast once, and the track didn't record, so the whole 45-minute podcast was just me talking and everybody else's wasn't recording. So I did this whole episode with guests and it was just 45 minutes of me. I'm like, nobody wants to listen to that. So I don't know how much this episode we're going to have. This sucks. I'm hoping that it got cached and saved because it went back to recording as soon as I came back online. We'll find out in a couple minutes, but yeah, Las Vegas, you got the strike. Yeah, you've just tickets not selling, ridiculous, blocking views for people. The local residents are upset because of all the construction, all the money that's been spent on this event. Probably won't be that good of a race. It's going to be cold.
Yeah, do you think it's just going to be a one and done?
No. So this hasn't been officially confirmed yet. But the Clark County, Nevada Council left money on the table, allegedly, to lock in a 10-year deal for this race.
Ooh.
Allegedly. It was a 3-year deal initially. And I think there was a lot of concern that Formula One would be like, okay, this we're done. After just 1 year of it, or just like, okay, we'll do our 3 years and then we're done. And we spent all this money on the roads. We built this permanent paddock, and they allegedly cut a deal, and now it's going to be around for 10 years potentially.
I guess we'll see.
And the global audience does not want 3 races in the US. So like, we do not want 3 races. I mean, they need to repave COTA, but it's like, if you were to cut it down to 1 race in the US, I would say repave COTA and that's your race.
Yeah, Miami's just overhyped.
Cringy. It was a cringy event. And Vegas is going to be really, really cringy because, it's going to be every Vegas gimmick. They've got all these VIP guests. It's just like, they're going to take the cringiness of Miami and put the Vegas part into the cringe.
With the Vegas flair to it.
Yeah. So we shall see. Yeah, so we're going to probably be wrapping up the season here soon. Take some time off till January, but I think probably get a couple more in before we do that. I'm going to be live streaming the Las Vegas race at least. I don't know if Eric's got some logistic issues to figure out if he's going to be there or not.
Yeah, we'll see. A lot of it's just going to depend on what time I get back. I have jump in at the tail end of it.
Yeah. Worst case, I have a backup host lined up. So it will be someone that you've never seen before sitting side by side with me. Regardless, if you make it, obviously we'll do 3 of us, but it may be me and someone you've never seen before. So
that'll be fun. I will most likely be on a bus at the start of it, but I will tune in so I can watch.
Or you can call in from the bus.
Oh, that might be hard with they'll be sleeping.
We might have to make a brief cameo from the bus on the way back.
Yeah, I'll have to figure something out. I have Zoom, so I can maybe jump in and just chat.
Yeah, just jump right in on the Zoom call.
I'll take my headset along. So it was like, "What are you doing, Coach?" Like, don't mind me.
I want to Zoom.
Working.
Zoom call. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, one of my close friends is big into Formula One, and I said, I need you to stay up late and watch the race and get on Zoom with me. And he's like, okay. So I said, great. So we'll make a formal announcement here soon when we hype that, and we'll see how much.
Maybe figure out a phone call at least.
At least you have you on audio.
Yeah, probably no video, but
Eric on the phone.
not watching the race, but I'm still commentating with it.
Borrow somebody else's phone on the bus. Pull it. Call in on someone else's call in on someone else's phone and watch Hulu on your phone. But
see what happens.
That's gonna be a mess. It
needs to be done.
I can't imagine. I mean, what is that gonna have like the impact on those tires at those cold temperatures?
Yeah, especially if they can't get heat in them.
There talk some of the drivers are gonna wear gloves with hand warmers.
Watch we end up having a US Grand Prix at Indianapolis. 3 drivers in a 3 race.
It's just like, I'm walking out of here, and Logan Sargent finishes on the podium because only 3 drivers ran the race.
Max and somebody else in the Logan Sargent podiums.
Max Verstappen, Nico Hulkenberg finally breaks his no podium streak.
It'd be official.
Nico has the Formula One record for most. It's like most starts and most points without a podium. I believe it.
Somebody, Lando Norris, finally break through. Those McLarens, they are
whatever they did. They were bad at the beginning of the year.
Those first couple of 3 races, they were not good.
And something just clicked. And now they look really good. And now, I don't know.
Norris just a mainstay on the podium now.
As we always watch to see if he's going to break the trophy.
With his infamous bottle open. It's pretty cool,
though. Until you see the ceramic trophy go.
And then Max looking like, I have one of those already.
He's like, I got enough. I've got enough silverware for this year. We didn't even talk about IndyCar and their game. Yeah, well, we might have to fill some time if the recording starts over again.
We got next week with no racing, so we can dive deeper into it then.
Motorsport Games essentially waved the white flag, laid off their entire Australia operation, who was the group responsible for the IndyCar game. And IndyCar, quote, knows what they're going to do, but legally can't do it yet, which makes me think that they're waiting for the non-payment to void the contract. But it's just like, they've said, like, they fired their development team. Nobody is doing this game, but Motorsport Games is like, we're reevaluating. Like, you fired the development team. You're not working on it. Like, how can there not be something in the contract that says, hey, if nobody's working on this game, we're done. But
yeah, I think it's kind of what we've given grief to IndyCar for already.
They took a big payday. They're not going to get that payday. They got some of that money, but they're not going to get all of it. They're not going to get a game out of it. They've wasted a year plus now. All we saw was a couple of screenshots and some single car on the track footage, where it's basically R Factor 2 engine with IndyCar graphics. This game was never going to happen. We knew it. IndyCar knew it. And they're just like, we're holding no hope. Like, nobody else is. Who was it that terminated the contract? It was a World Rally Car or something like that? I forget what that.
The British touring.
Yeah, that's what it was. They ripped the contract up. So NASCAR bolted, they bolted. Motorsport Games lays off their entire Australia operation and gave no severance to the developers they laid off with no notice, but
brought him to HR. Let's talk to you about what you do. Okay, see ya.
See ya. Oh, and just, clean out your desk, get out of here. No severance.
I wonder if they watched Office Space before that.
I mean, it seems like Motorsports Games. It's just, that company is just,
they need to go away.
They need
failed games.
They need to liquidate. It's like they have. You had the first thing that, I mean, the NASCAR game was terrible. You had the high profile Le Mans online that was a disaster, that people are getting booted out of the event. You had Max Verstappen enter the event and give a very high profile rant about he'll never do this again because the game was terrible. Not somebody you want on your bad side, especially in the world of motorsports. And it's just snowballed.
So we'll see either by the end of the year or that March 2nd.
It's allegedly the next payment to IndyCar for motorsport games is 60 days into 2024. And they are pretty confident, the reporters reporting on this are pretty confident that if motorsport games does not make the payment or does not make the payment in full on time, that is a breach of contract, which allow IndyCar to terminate the agreement.
We are expecting an announcement from IndyCar, I think I read, by the end of the 2023.
Yes.
And it's already coming up middle of November, so it's coming soon.
You'd think they have enough to terminate the agreement now.
You gotta think.
And there's discussion of IndyCar, they want to get something out of this, whether they transfer the assets or what, to another developer. But it's somebody pointed out, if they're building this on the R Factor 2 platform, which is the only game they make money on now, they're going to claim that's proprietary. What are they going to do? Send over some artwork? What's that really worth?
Not much. Can't be. This will be interesting.
Just give the sim license back to iRacing. Go find another console developer. Don't care who. I'm not going to buy the game. Just let IndyCar let iRacing call it IndyCar again. Let them put the schedule back on actual IndyCar tracks that people want to race at, not Daytona or iRacing Super Speedway. And let's, it'll be in the past. Let's shake hands. Let's be friends again. Have a shot of whiskey and let's get on with it.
And make a large fan base happy again.
And let us broadcast IndyCar events. That's all we ask.
Yeah, our behind closed doors was amazing racing and nobody saw it.
I mean, just in car view. That was it. The question, though, is okay, so the behind closed doors was a great name for the event that we can't broadcast, but let's just say the broadcasting license comes back. Do you still call it behind closed doors?
I don't know. Maybe come up with something cheeky.
I have to think about that one. Yeah, we are, I don't think it's really much of a secret that we have part of a plan in place if IndyCar returns to iRacing in some format. It's not done yet, but we are preparing. That's all we're going to say right now.
Yep.
Crossing our fingers.
We'll see what happens.
But we'll talk more about that next week, leading up to the Las Vegas Grand Prix. And yeah, hopefully we didn't lose 80% of the show recording, because I'll be really upset at my internet provider for crapping out on me for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever that was.
Yeah, we'll see. Figure it out.
Oh yeah, frracingonline.com. Check out the blog. There's a new post on here on how I turned a desk chair into a racing bucket seat chair. So show you how to do that. Not hard, definitely not practical from a financial standpoint, but if you don't have room for a full sim rig, this is a pretty darn good solution. And when I'm on video calls at work and I'm sitting in my racing bucket seat, it definitely gets noticed.
And you're not racing at the kitchen table chair.
That is correct. Yeah, I mean, I still have a memory foam pad that I put in the chair, but otherwise, yeah, I'm this is the same chair that some dude who races his Mustang at the local fairground track. It's legit. NFL Racing Online on all social media, and tune in Saturdays, see the replay on Stadium Scene TV, and if you're watching on Stadium Scene TV, head on over and follow us.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate the support. We'll see you again soon.